Hey guys, glad to stop by as always. So today we're gonna do some canning, and I love to can. If I could, I would can all the time, or at least with some regularity. But it doesn't always get to happen. Unfortunately, it gets busy. This last couple weeks, like I've said in the last couple videos, which you haven't checked those out, give them a shot because that George Strait nachos is off the hook. George Strait inspired nachos is off the hook. Sorry, along with the strawberry cheesecake bars. Those were insanely good and very addictive and did not last long. But today we're going to do a red curry Thai chicken, and we're going to do quick meals. It's going to make some 7 quarts according to the recipe, and I think it will. I found I can't remember the name of the site, as always, right here, as always. We will, but it's got 50 different canning recipes for essentially quick meals, and all of them sound wonderful, and I think that's pretty cool. So that gave me some quick meal ideas. Plus, we've got some other things coming up we're getting ready to do. I will show you a update on the garden here probably in the next week or so. Things are starting to pop up, and there's a couple things I wanted to talk about, like when your plants start to bloom, what should you do, what should you look for, things like that, along with just show you some of the new additions, right? And I think that'll be fun. But anyhow, our focus today is canning red curry chicken, and if you're new and this is your first canning video, welcome. I hope you get something out of this, and maybe check out some of my either canning videos, dessert videos, dinner videos. The line of videos is long, and there's a little bit of everything for everybody. But if you're returning or one of my new subscribers, welcome back and thank you. Hands down. That being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. That way you know when my videos come out. All that keeps us in the algorithm and keeps our little community here relevant, right? And helps it to grow. I think that's it. Canning has some rules. We're going to be pressure canning this, which means that you're going to need a pressure canner, which I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, right there. Along with a stock pot. Everything else is kind of a lot of prep work. And it's not even a lot of prep work, but I find prepping at times can be tedious, especially when you're doing big things. If you have any ideas or suggestions, you can leave a comment down below, hands down, or after we make this together. If you try it and you like it, let me know. Either way, or something of that nature. I respond to all comments. There hasn't been a one I think I've missed so far, so I'm at least on an average of 99.58672 on responding to comments. But that being said, why don't we head on down here to the counter and we're gonna get started on pressure canning. All right, hold on for me 1 second. All right, we're here at the stovetop or the counter. If you are new and this is one of your first videos with me, you've seen my entire kitchen. Right behind you is a window and a door, and that's pretty much it. And then I got a giant dining room over there for the moment. We're hoping to do a little remodeling here down the road once we get back a little more on our feet after the interesting adventures we've had. But anyhow, that being said, so things you will need: pressure canner is a must. 7 quart jars with lids and rings, and you want to make sure they're washed and rinsed, dried. And then I personally, because we're going to be processing them longer than 10 minutes, you don't have to worry about keeping your lids or rings wet or hot water. You don't have to keep your jars warmed. I just simply fill my sink up with hot water and set the jars down in that before we process. The idea behind that is you want everything to be of equal temperature, because we're about to cook up the red curry chicken that we're about to put in these jars. And then I've got this turned on and just warming, because I have got about the equivalent of 2 quarts of water in here, and that way we're all about 180-ish degrees and life should be good. So first thing we need to do is hold on a second, because my daughter's standing here. I think she's got a question. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Had to take care of Sarah for a minute. And but I'm back. So anyhow, stock pot. Pressure canner is warming. In our stock pot, we are going to add a few ingredients. I mean, it's literally only 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ingredients, but it's or 9 ingredients, but it's the amount of ingredients that might get you. So the first thing we need to add to our chicken, or to our stock pot, is our chicken. And I have 8 cups of just plain old shredded chicken right there. And all I did was, and this is completely optional, you can buy chicken breasts or thighs and cut them up yourself and cook them. And you don't have to cook them completely because we're going to finish the cooking process in the jars. But I just bought 2 roasting chickens. The grocery store always has like the twin pack for like $12, and they're usually 6 pounds each. And that is enough to get you 8 cups of chicken. I actually have 8 cups plus a little extra in the fridge that I can use for another dish. But it is 8 cups of chicken, or like I said, about 12 pounds worth of chicken. You know, maybe not quite 12 pounds, but you want 6-pound chickens when you buy them, and that will be, or roughly 6 pounds, and that'll give you your 8 cups of chicken. Now that I've got them cooked and pulled off the bones, save those carcasses though, because you can use those to make chicken stock with down the road, which is just the best thing ever. To that, I have, this is 1 whole pineapple that I chunked up myself. If you don't want to use a whole fresh pineapple, you can just easily go buy a 20-ounce can of chunked pineapple, and it's the exact same thing. This is 20 ounces of pineapple, and it was almost 1 whole pineapple. I got to eat a little bit of the leftovers. So we got our 20 ounces of chunked pineapple in there, or a pound and 4 ounces, or 1 can. And then to that, we are going to add 4 cups of carrots. It's about 1 pound of carrots, and you want them cut like matchsticks, right? At about 2 inches long, you know, and roughly the size of a matchstick. Now mine are hand cut, so they're not exactly matchstick size. I am not a professional chef. I can cut things fairly well, but I'm not a professional. Or you can just buy a 1 pound bag of already matchstick carrots. But I want to try to use do it the most inexpensive way. So, you know, I've got the chicken, which you can't help the price of chicken, but to buy a whole pineapple and do it myself was cheaper than buying a can of pineapple, because I got more than 1 can out of the pineapple. By buying a 2 pound thing of carrots and matchsticking them myself, that saves like a couple bucks just doing that. And you'll have to excuse the noise in the background, and half the neighborhood I think is out cutting their grass. And then the next thing we're going to add is 3 cups of chopped scallions. Now, I knew this, and which is why these, you can say, why do these look like green onions? They are. Scallops and green onions are essentially the same thing. They are interchangeable. It just depends on who you're talking to as to what they are. So I've got 3 cups of just completely chopped up green onion, both the white and the green in there, and we're going to throw that in. And then we've got just a handful more things to put in here. I've got 1 whole clove of garlic, and that's minced. It's right around 12, 14 cloves of garlic to put in here. And like I said, you can mince them, or if you have a garlic press, which is what I use, and it's just a little handheld press, you squeeze it and it pushes the chunks of garlic through, and then that way you can put it right in. And then I have some ginger, and I used a piece about 4 inches long, right? And I peeled it with a spoon, you know, that way you can get into the crevices. And I then used my microplane like I'm zesting a lemon or a lime or an orange or, you know, some fruit. And I went ahead and minced my garlic up, or my ginger up. So 4-inch stick of ginger, which is probably about 2 tablespoons of ginger when it's said and done. And then we are going to add 3 4-ounce jars of red curry paste. So, and it's this particular brand is Thai Kitchen, but I mean, you use whatever's available or whatever. If you have one that you like, you know, go for it. This is the only one they sell here in my town, and it's a good Thai chili paste. So I'm not hating on it by any means. But we're gonna get 3 of these in there. They come in 4-ounce jars. We want 12 ounces total. Okay, we've got our curry paste in there, our red curry paste in there. And a helpful tip real quick, if you get all your stuff together first, jars, lids, rings, canner, get it warming up, and all your ingredients, this process will go so much quicker for you. And like the prep work, you can do a day ahead of time or 2. Just leave it in your fridge, that way it's ready to go. This is where meal prepping comes in handy. You know, when you go to the grocery store, you buy onions, go ahead and chop up what onions you need for the week, things like that. Helpful if you have the time. I get time is of the essence, but anyhow, I'm rambling on. So to the next thing we need to add to this, so we get our red curry paste in there, is 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. You know, and you can find that in the international aisle, Asian aisle, depending on where you're at. Fish sauce, it really is. It's like a version of soy sauce, and it just adds so much flavor while bringing out all the other flavors. To keep all this balanced, a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Use your favorite type, hands down. Now the last ingredient we need, and this is a decent one. We're gonna need 5 quarts of chicken broth, you know, or stock, or whatever it is you have available. If you're buying it from the store, I recommend you get the bigger family size boxes. That's 2 quarts in a box, so it'll save you a bit of money. We make our own, so I just grabbed 5 quarts worth out of the basement, and I'm gonna get these in here. Okay, so we got our 5 quarts of chicken broth in there. Yeah, which is also why I said save those bones, right? So the next time you don't have to fuss with that so much. Hold on for me 1 second. I gotta go grab a spoon. All my utensils are back behind me in the dining room. Hold on for me. Okay, didn't take 2 seconds, right? So now we're gonna give this a good stir. We're gonna go ahead and turn it on. And we're gonna bring this up to a simmer. And then once it starts simmering, we're gonna let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we can start processing up our jars. Okay, so we have let our mix simmer for 5 minutes, and everybody has gotten to know each other really well. So the next thing we have to do is go ahead and get it in our jars. So in this case, this is kind of a new process for me, and this part is, because what they have us do is take a slotted spoon, or in this case I'm just going to use my strainer, and we're going to pull all the solids out, and we're going to put them in each jar until our jars are half full of the solids and not the liquids. We're going to put the solids in first and then the liquids. So we get this in here like such, and I may switch apparatuses. That seems to be a bit on the hectic side, but we're going to fill them all up till they're half full like that. All right, so that's our first step in processing these. Okay, so we got our jars half full, and we got 7 of them. I just split it up evenly, and it was just enough. Now, one thing I did do in order to get all the solids out, after I got a bulk of it out, I went ahead and I grabbed a strainer, and I poured the juice, the liquid, through it, and then that way I ensured I got all the chunks of meat out. Now, when I say halfway down, or half of it solid, half of it liquid, even though that is half, that you can still count the empty spaces as part of the liquid. So if you get a little more in there than half, it's probably okay because you got all that extra space running in between it. All right, so now the next thing we need to do is go ahead and take this broth we made, and we're gonna fill our jars up with it to the 1 inch head space, to the 1 inch spot. So we're gonna leave 1 inch of head space. That ring right there, all right, is what we're looking at. That's 1 inch. So, and you can also, if you have a ruler or a debubbling tool that they make, which I don't have, you can use that to measure also. So we're gonna go ahead and get these filled up next. All right, so we've got our jars filled with our liquid. So now I'm just gonna take a chopstick real quick, jump in here and make sure we don't have any air bubbles. And if we do, it's okay. It will lower the amount, or the head space that we've created, that 1 inch space between the lid and the product. But that's okay because we've got a little extra sauce we can, the broth that we can put in here to balance it out. So now that we've got that done, it doesn't look like we had any bubbles come up or anything like that, and I didn't figure we would just because it's, you know, a good amount of liquid. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a paper towel, and I've got a little container of vinegar sitting right here, and we're going to go ahead and get the towel wet, and we're just going to wipe these edges off. You want to make sure that your rims are clean, you know, super clean, so that way you ensure there's nothing on them to keep the lid sealing to the rim of the jar. That could be tragic. Well, what'll happen was as these heat up and try to pressurize, and the glue heats up, it'll create a gap, and then you end up with your product leaking out all over your the inside of your canner, you know, and that could be a bad thing. So I got those wiped off. Now we're going to take our lids, and we're going to get our lids put on here just like such, and then we're going to do our rings. Now when you put your rings on, you're simply going to take your ring, you're going to put it on, you know, start it nice and even, and then you want to go finger tight, right? Just like anything else, you don't want to death grip it and turn it. You want to just as good as you can with your fingers. Now I understand sometimes, you know, I know my hands don't always work so well and they're a little weak, so you may add a little extra to it like that, and that, if that's what you got to do, that's fine. What you don't want to do is just screw it on there, as, you know, like there's no tomorrow and your life depends on it. Just a casual tightening till it stops. That way you have the proper air gap between your lid and the rim to allow that air to escape quickly that's in here. You know, we're creating a zero air, lack of oxygen environment inside this can. All right, so we get these last couple on here. All right, now that we got our lids on, we'll go ahead and get our canning lid off of here, or pressure canner lid off of there. Now, just like any other time, see the steam coming off there, lift it away from you, not towards you. That way you don't get that steam in your face, you don't melt your face off. We're gonna go ahead and take that vinegar that's left in the container, it's about 2 tablespoons worth, and we're gonna put it in our water. You know, and then we're gonna go ahead and get our jars in here and get those set. Now my canner holds 7, it's a Presto canner. They make a few different kinds of canners. It's a 23 quart. Presto makes 2 different size canners and a pressure cooker. Now the pressure cooker is not a pressure canner if you go out to shop for one. So, you know, be leery of that. Or be mindful of it, not leery. That way you don't grab the wrong thing. It doesn't process the same. So we get our jars in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our lid back on there, just like that, and we'll tighten it up. Now you may have the Americana pressure canner, and it has all kinds of cool things to it. It's got little flip up things that you turn in a certain order to tighten it down with. But you do your research. If you don't have one, do your research, find one that'll work best for you. This one's also about, I don't know, $200-300 cheaper than the other canner, and this has served me well for a very long time. But now we have got our jars in there, our lid is on, and it is tightened, right? So I'm gonna turn this on high, and let me get you in here so you can maybe see a little better what I'm talking about. Whoa. Right back here is a little knob. We're gonna, now that we're on high, we're gonna let this go until that little pin, that knob pops up. That's a lock. Once that lock sets, we're gonna let it go for 5 minutes. I'm sorry, 10 minutes with it just steaming out, right? Once that 10 minutes is up, we'll talk about what to do next. Okay, so our pin popped up. I'll set my timer for 10 minutes. It just went off. So the next thing we need to do is grab our weight out of here and go ahead and put it on the top. And what that weight does is it helps you to regulate the pressure on our gauge right here. Here, let me bring you in so you can kind of see what's going on. Bring it back in. So we got our weight on, and if I can move this slowly, weight on, pin is up. Now we're just going to watch this gauge, and I still have my heat on high for the moment. And as this moves up in pressure, I'll turn that down. Now I know with my canner, ultimately I'm going to end up on about 2.5 to 3 and the number on the gauge, on the dial for my stovetop, but I'll be at 11 psi. Once it hits 11 psi, I will go ahead and I will start my timer. I will start my timer for 75 minutes. If you're doing, because you can do this in pints also, the smaller jars. If you're doing pints, which would be ideal for like 2 people maybe, or 1 if you're a hungry eater, that's only 60 minutes. But I have to wait until it gets to 11 psi before that happens. And then if it drops below that 11 psi, you have to start over once you get it back up to 11. So 11 psi minimum. It's okay if it goes to 12, 12 and a half. That will not hurt anything, but you want to keep an eye on it. Like I'm just sitting here and watch movies while this runs, and see how it's starting to go up. So now that it's going up a little bit, I'll take it off a high and I'll turn it down to like 7, 8, you know, and then I'll let it sit there for a little bit, and then when it moves up to like 8, I'll move it down a little more, and then 10, a little more, and I should be at 2.5 to 3 on my range top, and holding strong at about 11 to 12 on my gauge. So when I come back, we will talk about what to do once that process is over. All right, I'll see you here in just one moment. Okay guys, so we went ahead and it dropped down to 0. My pin went down. I went ahead and took this off, my weight off, right? And so now I waited my 5 minutes. So pressure to 0, pin dropped, weight off, 5 minutes. Now we can go ahead and open it up. And just like before, when you open up your canner, no matter whose type of canner you're using, you want to open it up away from you, just like that. See all that steam? That's 240 degrees worth of steam coming up off of there right now. So we know we're in good shape there. I look down in there and we actually have no siphonage at all. So we can go ahead, now that our 5 minutes is up, and get our cans out. And I'm gonna bring that first one over to you so you can see what we got going on there. That is our red curry Thai chicken, looking delicious. So we'll go ahead and get these out of here. Okay, we got all 7 of them out of there, and let's zoom in on them real quick so you can really see the fruits of our labor. But I mean, just look at those bad boys. It's almost therapeutic to see them bubbling and moving like that. That's how hot they are. I mean, they are really, you know, pushing 245 plus degrees. That's why we pressure can it, so that way we can have that extra bit of you know, heat to kill everything. Right now, that is a free of air, everything good or bad bacteria wise, done. It's a completely sterile environment inside those jars, which is kind of cool if you think about it. Canning is such a science. So what we do now, well, right now we're just going to let those sit. We're going to let them sit for 12 to 24 hours and let them cool undisturbed. And then when I come back, that process will have happened. Hold on for me 1 second. Sorry about that. My good neighbor Bo's out there letting me know he was out there. And I just don't have time to go play. But 12 to 24 hours, and we will you know, take a look at them again and talk about what to do. And depending on how far we've gotten on this video, time wise, I will show you how to make it, because it's really easy. You literally just dump it in a saucepan, add some coconut milk to it, or yogurt, or yogurt, your choice. Either way, it's the same amount, which then will add a richness and, you know, thickness to the broth. But anyhow, let's get through the 12 to 24 hours first, and when I come back, we'll talk shop. All right, I'll see you here in a second. All right, guys, so we have been 24 hours and change, which is okay. I had to go to work, and it's not going anywhere. Now, first thing I did after I got to them was I took the rings off of them, right? And then I take it and I grab it by just the rim, just the lid, right? And I hold it. That tells me it's sealed. Another way to check is if I push down the center and it's not going, you know, making a tinging sound like this, then I know it's sealed, right? So I've got double confirmation that it's sealed and there's no air in there. You should hear, when you take them out of the canner, you should hear them pop like that. Only it should only pop down, right? And you'll hear it. It'll ting. It's loud. Of course, I'm sure most of you guys already knew that, but you never know. So once we test it, right, we know it's sealed, and we've tapped it, we've lifted it by its rim, date it, label it, you know, even though, I mean, in this case, I'm going to know this is red curry Thai chicken, or red Thai curry chicken, in the container just by looking at it, but it never hurts to label it, especially when, I mean, in our case, we can have up to 500 jars downstairs at any given time, and sometimes it's hard to tell what's what at times, especially in the dark, you know, middle of the night, whatever. But anyhow, so we got that done. Take it downstairs or wherever it is you keep your jars. If you are newer to canning and you're not sure where to keep your jars, you want it away from heat and away from light. Those are your two biggest enemies. Preferably 68 to 72 degrees in a darkened place. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be absolutely no light. That would be ideal, but minimal light. You know, so mine's in the basement, stays 68 to 72 all year round, and there's one little window downstairs, and then of course the light fixture, turn it on, and that's it. That way I minimalize all of that, which will give me my maximum life of about a year to 2 years, sometimes longer, depending on what you're making. But now that we've gone through that spiel and we know what to do with our cans, let's go ahead and get down here to the counter real quick, and we'll start making some of this. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we're down here at the counter. We're going to turn our range top on. I'm going to start warming up my pan. Whatever pot you have. Sauce pot. I don't think we're going to make enough to need a stock pot, but a good sized stock pot. We're gonna open up 1 quart of what we just made, right? And I don't know if you heard it or not, but that like vacuum pop, that is a sign that that bad boy was sealed. That's good, right? And I'll go ahead and throw that jar in the sink, put the lid in the trash. You never want to reuse your lids. That is a for sure. And then I'm gonna grab just a quick spoon right here to break that up some. Now, I had some leftover broth that I was using that from when we canned them, right? And I had that little bit of leftover chicken. I just simply put that chicken into that broth and had some of it for lunch and put the rest in the fridge. And I'm here to tell you, this broth in and of itself is really good. Bit of a kick, but really good. Let me go get something to stir with real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Something to stir with. So the only thing that we need to add to this is, and you have a couple of different options here. You can either add some yogurt, you know, just some plain old yogurt, or you can, since I don't have any plain yogurt, but I do have coconut milk, I'm just going to go ahead and add a can of coconut milk to this. And it is a 13-ounce can of coconut milk. So what we want to do now is we're going to go ahead and give this a stir, and we're going to bring this up to a simmer. Now we're going to put this over rice, which will be done here in 1 minute. But let's say we want this to be, because it's going to cook down a little bit and that coconut milk is going to thicken up some. But let's say it's not thick enough. We can always add a tablespoon or 2 of cornstarch to this to make it thicker. But first we gotta get this heated up, bring it to a simmer, and let it simmer for probably about 5 or 6 minutes or so, and then we should be good to go. All right, I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so we let it boil down, and I did end up adding some 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch to it. You don't have to, but I wanted my sauce to be a little thicker and a little creamier. But here's what we have, and if you don't want this much sauce, use half a can of coconut milk, or like I said, you can use yogurt and just put in about a 1/4 cup of yogurt. What that does is it the coconut milk or the yogurt, it adds a richness to the broth, to the curry overall, and not only does it give it another layer of flavor, but it will also enhance the flavors that are already there. Yeah, so that is just freaking awesome in my opinion. So we'll go ahead and get that on there like such. Oh, looks fantastic, I think. Then hey, what do I know? That on there like that, like that, like that. Oh. And the broth, I tasted the broth, because when you're reheating it, that's the time you want to, there we are right there is our red curry Thai chicken. But now's when you want to start looking at, does it need something? Does it need salt? Does it need pepper? Does it, is it spicy enough for you? Do you want to add a little something extra to it? When you're heating it up, you could also add things to it like water chestnuts or baby corn or corn in general. You can add that to it now. Things that you want that aren't basically approved for canning. Some people like to put cabbage in theirs, but you can't pressure cooking cabbage is kind of a no-no just because it hasn't been tested. So I have to tell you that it's kind of a no-no. But it's something you could add in while you're heating it up. So any vegetables you can think of, but right now I think this is plenty good the way it is. So we're about to see though. Give me a piece of that pineapple in there to go with that chicken and carrots and everything else. Oh, wish me the best of luck. that's really good. I think the only thing I might do a little different the next time is put some kind of heated seasoning in it, cayenne, or I actually have a oh god, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's an Asian chili powder that would go perfect in this. Let me go check real quick. Hold on. Okay, so it's Kashmiri chili powder. Very red, very vibrant. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put just a touch in right now to see what it does for it. I'll just put and it doesn't take much if I remember right. This stuff is not like to die. It won't kill you spicy, but it, you know, to eat, it holds its own at any rate. I've only used it a couple times in a couple different Asian dishes, but why not? Without it even cooking in, it did the job. Wow, that's really good. But all in all, this is a solid, quick weeknight meal. And I am starved. I just worked all day and haven't had a chance to eat. And this is ideal. All I did was crank up the heat on this bad boy, brought it up to a boil, let it boil, or brought it up to a boil, back down to a simmer, and then just let it go for like 10 minutes. And it was ready to go. And now there's enough left over, along with a little bit of rice I got left, that I can put it in the fridge and add it to the handful of things that I have as leftovers in the fridge. We can have a leftover night. These will be lunches for the rest of the week, you know, or I mean, whatever, you know, midnight snack because you're hungry. It'll work, but give this a try. Let me know if you do. I think you'll like this. It's really good. It's got really good flavor. The sweetness of the pineapple is there. You can taste it. The coconut milk, I mean, even though I added an entire can, you can't really taste the coconut. It's not a dominant feature by any means. But the chicken's there. The broth is there. I can taste the pineapples and the chives and the garlic and the ginger. I mean, it's all very well balanced. You wouldn't think it would be with, you know, the amount of stuff we put in it and then bouncing it between 7 quarts, but it is. It's very well balanced, and I think it tastes very, very good. So, if you give this a try, let me know. Leave me a comment down below, you know, or on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook, you know, through the group or my personal page, or the Mr. Smith's Kitchen business page, for that matter. I mean, it's completely up to you on how you get a hold of me. But you'll like this for sure. Next week, I have no idea what we're doing for dinner. Desserts, I got a couple ideas floating. If I have the time, I would really like to try my waffle and candied bacon, or waffle, maple syrup and candied bacon cheesecake. I haven't forgotten about it. I haven't mentioned it in a couple weeks, and it's not like a video's popped up, but I haven't forgot about it, and I think I finally got it all figured out. But we'll see. If not that, I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but we'll get there all the same. But until next week for dinner, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them very much, and that it's going to make their day a whole lot better. They may possibly need to hear it. It's going to make them smile. It's going to make you smile and make you feel a whole lot better to tell them, right? You brighten somebody's day. And if you give them one of these cans of this red curry Thai chicken, they're going to know, you know, and they're going to appreciate you, and it's going to lead to hours of conversation, you know, or may strike up a friendship. You never know. But until next week for dinner, I'll see you then. All right, love you. See you later. Bye-bye.